Greece's answer to a lasagna would have to be a pastitsio.
And you say it so well, Justine.
I've been
She says
practicing.
You have you?
It's one of those dishes I have never made. I've always wanted to make.
I can't believe that.
I know, right?
Really?
I've never made
She's
it.
never made
Yeah.
pastitsio.
And the queen of Greek cooking, in my eyes, would have to be my friend Kathy. So she's going to
Thank
teach
you.
us how to make it from scratch.
From scratch.
I am
That's
so
right.
excited about this. In here, we've been cooking some onions. Now, these are grated onions.
Yes.
Why do you grate them?
I like it grated. I don't want that chunky onion to be seen in the meat sauce. I
Yes.
like it to be all nice and sophisticated.
nice
Maybe
and
that's the word.
smooth.
Smooth and sophisticated.
And there's a lot of meat here. What type of meat do we use
So
for
we're
this?
using a beef mince. You can use lamb, but I prefer the beef mince.
Yep, okay.
So we're going to brown that off, Justine. Quite, give it a nice coated brown.
And in true Kathy form, it's not a little bit of mince. It's not it's a big portion. So this is going to feed a whole family. Plus
Everything-
some leftovers.
In abundance. Everything is in abundance. It's my favourite word, abundant.
And can I add some salt to this?
So add salt, add some pepper, add some cinnamon, just to give it that lovely exotic aroma, let's say, in the food.
Very prominent in a lot of savoury dishes in Greece is that cinnamon.
That I use it for all my tomato-based sauces. I tend to use cinnamon whenever I'm using tomato, and of course we're using tomato here. Now, you need to also cook off the tomato paste.
Okay.
So you have to cook that off in a corner there and then mix it really well with your meat.
Yeah, and we cook that off because we don't want that raw flavour of the tomato
The raw
paste.
tomato flavour.
Yeah.
So make sure that's totally browned off, and when it's totally brown, add your tomato into that.
Okay,
And
yep.
while you're doing that, what I'm going to do is carry on and finish off our bechamel sauce.
Okay, so we've given ourselves a head start with
Yes.
the bechamel sauce. It's a classic bechamel sauce. You've got the flour and the butter, and then some milk. And we have Kathy's full recipe on the website. And there's a few signature ingredients in this bechamel to make it Greek, of course.
It is. It's my version. I'm
Yep.
going to add to this a pinch of nutmeg. And then, of course, I have here this beautiful cheese. We're going to add the cheese into that as well.
What type of
Now,
cheese
this
is that?
what I want to talk to you about. This is a special cheese called vlahotiri. It is a sheep's milk cheese.
Right.
It's similar to kefalograviera, which is your Saganaki cheese. But this is a slightly milder version of this cheese. I think you should try a little bit and
Oh,
see.
I love that.
We use this all the time. All sorts of reasons. It goes in cooking, it goes in sandwiches, and it's just amazing.
It's
now,
delicious.
The final ingredient that I want to put in here are my egg yolks, and I've deliberately added cheese first just to kind of cool it down a little bit.
Right.
And I'm finally going to add the egg yolks and not stop whisking so that we don't cook off those egg yolks.
Yeah, so why do you add eggs to your bechamel for this?
The eggs make it luscious, it makes them very rich in flavour, and it'll also give you a golden crust on top at the end. And it's the eggs that actually do that.
And I see that you've got some white pepper here. Does that
Yes.
go in here?
It does, it goes in, I sort of put it in at the end as you've just done now.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is I don't like seeing little black specks of pepper, in my white sauce, because it is a white sauce, it's a bechamel. So let's just do white pepper for the flavour, but no black specks.
Fantastic. So the meat is nice and brown, so we'll add our tomatoes, just crushed can of tomatoes?
Crushed tomatoes, crush them with your hand, very simple. And we're not also looking for a heavy tomato-based sauce.
Right.
We just want it to be a very simple tomato, but don't waste anything, Justine.
Oh, I won't. So you've got some water too.
Ah, right.
So we add some water
Yes.
and I'll clean it out because we don't like to waste anything, do
No
we, Kathy?
wastage, no.
And how long does this cook for now?
We need it to simmer for about 15, 20 minutes or so, and that's good because while that's simmering, it gives us an opportunity to get on with other things about the dish.
Like the pasta. So we'll cook the pasta once everything's almost ready.
That's right.
Okay, the pasta has cooked. It's tubular pasta, and we've drained that. And also, look at this beautiful sauce.
It's cooked down beautifully, Justine, see?
And we did add a little parsley to that too.
We did. We added, and that's just to add a little bit of freshness to it more than anything.
I like it.
So I think, but there's one more stage to that. I'd like you to add the egg white into that and mix it in really well.
Okay.
And I do that because I like the meat to bind together when we layer it. It actually keeps it together. And the other thing I'd like you to add into that is a little bit of cheese.
Okay.
Just a little bit of cheese.
That much?
Yeah, that'll do. And these two elements actually help the meat stay together when you're cooking the whole pastitsio, and then when you're cutting it, it all stays nice and together. So now into the pasta, we're going to add our cheeses. So we add lots of flavour to the cheese and a tiny bit of bechamel sauce, because once again, that helps bind it all together, keep it together, because remembering we're trying to keep things together when we're cutting up a piece.
Yes.
So that's going to go in a little bit of that.
I've seen many photos, and also when I come into Sweet Greek at Paran Market, you see them and they're perfect squares. And it's because you've just added these little extra things to make sure it holds its shape. And I like the flavour of the saltiness of that feta.
Yeah, and it's a creamy pasta, salty feta, and we're going to mix that all in now. And why not adding a little bit of this as well? Nice and cheesy. And then assemble. The assembling process starts.
So we've got a large baking tray here. We've just greased that with a little bit of butter or oil, whatever you like, and then some breadcrumbs. Now, why do we add the breadcrumbs?
It adds a bit of crunch on the bottom. It adds a bit of crunch. So we're ready now for our first layer. We kind of, with our eyes, kind of divide it into two. So one layer goes on the bottom.
Ah, right.
Right, so we just assemble like this, using your hands. It really doesn't matter. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do like it to be in a line. And make sure, if they're going to be perfect, make sure your ends are perfect more than anything here at the end.
So one layer of pasta, and then what's the next layer?
Meat sauce.
Okay.
And then another layer of pasta, and then the bechamel on top.
Okay. All right, Kathy, we're up to our last layer, which is the cheesy Greek-style bechamel.
Correct.
Spreading it all the way to the end.
Make sure it's all, your pasta is covered nice and even. You have an even layer of this bechamel.
And Kathy, how long are we going to cook the pastitsio for?
We're going to cook it on moderate oven, 160 degrees for an hour.
Okay. Well, this looks so impressive, and we have allowed it to cool 15 minutes, right?
Correct, that's right. We've just allowed it to cool down, and now we're just going to go straight into the cutting.
And we cool it because we don't want it to sort of fall everywhere. We want it to hold its nice shape, and by letting it cool, just relaxes the pastitsio.
Shall I cut a big piece?
Yeah, yeah.
I think she wants a big piece.
My favourite, I mean, it's the ultimate comfort food, right? With cheesy sauce, meat sauce, pasta. I'm going to bring that to you.
There we go.
Perfectly cut, and you can see those layers of the pasta, the meat, that cheesy sauce. 2 forks as usual.
As usual, yes.
Go
You go first.
Oh, it's so fluffy.
Is that good?
It's so good. I'm so happy. What I love about it, it's comforting, it's humble food, and so many leftovers.
Absolutely.
Kathy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Justine.
Oh, Kathy.